So, you know, one of the things when my health really started, when it really reached the point where it wasn't going to take it anymore of being settled and it was going to start being a pain in the ass, was when I discovered I had PCOS. So that means polycystic ovarian syndrome. So people that don't know what that means. You can look up PCOS and you can find it. So one of the side effects was being really, really thirsty. And if you have type 1 diabetes, maybe even type 2, you have that as well. So that's something, my dad first had type 2 and then it went to type 1 through all the AO stuff. And I mean, my dad was superhuman. My dad, you look at a breather to where they test your lungs. And my dad, of course, we were kids, so I'd say he was probably in his late 40s, early 50s, something like that. I don't really remember, so I'm sorry, but they gave him a really big one. His doctors were baffled by it. But this guy's been smoking since he was 12 years old, and he could breathe all the way to the top. None of us could. None of his friends could. But he could. My dad was superhuman. If it wasn't for AO, then he wouldn't have been as sick as he was. I mean, yes, he was 6'9", and being tall can create a lot of problems. But, definitely AO is what brought him down, and it's never something I'll forget, and it's always something I'm looking for. I mean, I'd love to have someone like my dad and someone, who would come save me and rescue me, and because my dad would never want me to go through this. I mean, I'm the last in line. And as much, I know that's a Dio song, and I love Dio. But, I really am the last in line. I'm the baby. And the baby, when you have a baby, and it's the final one, that's the one you always look after the most. Because I'm not saying this in a mean way, although in my family, trust me, I am definitely the good one. I mean, you want to talk about how the things that have happened in my life, I swear, they've had to have been. I swear my dream man had to have asked before I was conceived. Not before I was born, but before I was conceived. But, without getting into detail with that, you can say before I was born. So, but to say, I want her to have all these things and to have, to understand what it's like to be me and to do all the things I want to do and, I mean, I would hope, and of course this would be me, that my dream man would always look for me, would always wonder if I was real, would always wonder when he looked out into a crowd if I was out there. In every town he went, he'd look at people, look at girls and wonder if that's her. I've been there, I've done that. So, I know that in some ways we're on different ends of the spectrum, with him having everything and me not having anything. But, still on some things, I want him to have the same, wondering if there's someone out there like them, if there's a girl out there that's, that girl he asked for, because I would hate to think that I've gone through all these weird things in my life only to think that he didn't ask for me, he wasn't looking for me, he didn't even care about me. Because that's not what I want. I want someone who's looked for me, who's wondered about me, who's older than me, because I like older men. So, for some reason, I keep getting, well, I don't know, I say too many things and I scare people off, but of course, my dream man, I'm not supposed to scare him off, so I can't say anything. And of course, I'm not someone who wants to sit there and be afraid to say anything. I don't care what somebody says. I am me. If you cannot accept me for who I am, then fuck you. So I'll say what I want. I keep getting this 10-year difference for some reason. So I have, it's funny because this whole thing, 20 years ago, the whole thing started 20 years ago, but it didn't start getting intense. It really didn't start getting intense until 15 years ago. That's when God was like, okay, now I'm going to up the ante. Now I'm going to make things worse. So the whole thing started with a big blonde. It really did. It's funny. So, he was really, I think, the only person that really would have given me a chance. But he thought I didn't get to know him. He didn't get to know me. We didn't really sit down and talk. And of course, I don't like people that judge a person based on, what's going on in their life. Because if you don't really know, then it's not nice to judge a person. So I don't like people like that. I've, throughout everything I've gone through, I've acted crazy, I've acted out, so we all have that. So I don't like people that sit there and think, well, this person's crazy, so, I'm not going to be around them. I don't like that. But in the sense, he was really the only person that really would have given me that chance and would have, he didn't look down. So a person didn't have to be super skinny, or, a person could have different interests, didn't have to be a Bible thumper necessarily, or, didn't have to like Christian music, or, well, since we're trying to conquer my speech impediments, but if I don't say certain words, that's why. So, they didn't have to like that kind of music, that kind of movies, that kind of TV, I mean, one of the girls that he started dating, it was after him and his friends went to a place that was haunted. They saw two red eyes and got out of there, rented a horror movie, and she was a little big, I don't know how big, but she was a little big. So afterwards, they were watching the movie, and they became boyfriend and girlfriend during that, because I guess everyone else fell asleep but them. And so, he was really the only person that really would have, I believe he would have. I don't know. I'm sick. But, there's got to be somebody who asked God for me, wanted someone just like them. And so all these strange things that happened throughout my whole life, it's because of him. And I'm not going to blame him, as he was a kid when he asked. And I'm sure, like me, always looking for something, searching for more, wanting more out of life. As life went on, bad things happened, good things happened, adding on to that.